see that.
I think it's muted there.
You can see. Oh, that's a big.
That's the biggest one. Pardon me.
We can't hear that.
Yeah, the main screen is muted.
Yeah, they're muted. They're muted. Someone
Only
has to
on
let
Zoom. It is wonderful to have all of you on Zoom. I'm looking at this screen, but I know the cameras are back there. So hello, everyone. However you are joining us, it is great to have you. It is great to be in Shabbat together. And it is especially wonderful to be here as Ari becomes bar mitzvah. How are you doing, Ari?
I'm a little tired.
You're a little tired. Okay, well, hopefully these morning prayers, these ancient morning prayers that have helped us wake up since 2,000 years ago will help you wake up a little bit, both spiritually and physically. We're going to begin with singing Ma Tovu on page 74. For those that are in here today, thank you so much. You're doing a beautiful job of keeping your masks on and physically distancing. So thank you for helping us keep this safe and sacred. We're going to continue together on page 74.
Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, o alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu alecha Yaakov, o alecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel, vani berov chastecha avo beitecha eshtachave el hechal kodshecha Israel, ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Israel, vani tefilati lecha Adonai et ratzon Elohim berov chasdecha haneni v'net yishecha ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov, ohalecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu ohalecha Yaakov.
We're going to continue on page 86. Ari, if you want to go ahead and find page 86, you are going to lead us in the blessing for the study of Torah. We are going to learn so much Torah this morning. One of the words in the blessing for the study of Torah, la'asok, often translated as to study Torah, but really means something like to get mixed up with, to get maybe even confused by. It's a beautiful possibility with how we translate that word, that what is Torah and how do we as Jews embrace text, which is not literally, but the whole tradition is about finding deeper and deeper layers of meaning, which Ari has done a beautiful job of. So let's go ahead and say that blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kirishanu b'mitzvotav v'tivanu la'asok b'divrei Torah.
Amen. And we continue on page 100 with Psalm 150.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, kol הנשמה תהלליה, hallelujah, hallelujah, kol הנשמה תהלליה, hallelujah, בקודשו, hallelujah, בקיאותו, hallelujah.
listen to our own sweet voices as we say this morning, imagine a world with more unity. Please be seated and continue on the following meeting in the Emanu-El. On page 122 of the words of the Boca, our people saying that Christ is the sea, and we are crossing the sea right now, God willing, our society to a better place. And Ari, you are crossing the sea from childhood to teenage years. We're here to celebrate that. It's awesome that we're doing that. Our tradition teaches that first you have to warm up through the wilderness a little bit before you get to the promised land. But I think that your teenagers are going to be a wonderful wilderness. Yeah. 120.
Who is like you, Adonai? Who is like you, Adonai? Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha neder b'kodesh. Nora tehilo, no seifele, nora tehilo, o seifele. Sur Yisroel. Kuma Be'ezrat Yisroel. Ufetei chinu emecha Yehuda צבאות שמו קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
We continue with the words of the Amidah. Ari will lead us in the first couple of blessings, and then Cantor Luck, and then we'll have a couple of moments for quiet prayer. You're free to use the words of the pages following or words from your heart. When you're done with your own quiet prayer at the end of the Amidah, then please be seated.
Adonai, Savatev Tiftachu Fia Gidikilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon Gomel Chasadim Tovim, וקונה חכו, וזוכר הסתיבות ואימות, ומביא גדוליו לפני בניכם, למען שמו באחווה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה, רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ורחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומדומה לך, מלך ממית ומקיים ומצמיע ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה לזה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, אלוה כל הארץ, כבודו אדיר אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו מאדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo.
Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo. Kadlul Adonai, Tiunerum Shemo Yatam, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al HaTorah ve'al Ha'avodah, ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al HaTorah ve'al Ha'avodah, ve'al Gemilut Chasadim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed, Al Shlosha Devarim, Ha'olam Omed.
Please be seated. And Cantor is going to help Ari find exactly the right spot as we get ready for our first Aliyah. For the honor of the first, oh, actually, let me say a word about what we're reading today. I'm skipping ahead of myself. We are in the portion of Bahar Bechukotai, and Ari wrote a great Devar Torah, so I don't want to steal his thunder. But prior to the part that he's going to speak about, we get into this whole conversation about the Shemitah year, where we're supposed to let crops rest every 7 years, and then the Jubilee every 50 years, where things all go, like, revert back to prior ownership. Debts are canceled, enslaved people are freed. This is kind of radical ancient biblical economic policy. This morning in Torah study, I'm forgetting who said it, but someone made a really nice comment. So in their name, even though I don't remember who said it, I'd like to share that comment, which was that part of what this portion is trying to do is take us away from the material. That it some way reminds us the material is always temporary, it's always temporal, and that ultimately it points us back towards the spiritual in life. So there's something beautiful about that. You could take it in a lot of different ways. There's many, many pages of Talmud that go on and on about the economic implications of what this Torah portion teaches, and ultimately they make some changes, the rabbis. But it's full of a lot of law that's applicable to contemporary concerns of social justice. So with that said, let's read your Torah portion, huh? Okay. For the first Aliyah, it is my pleasure to invite up Josh, Jane, and Harrison Douglas, Jay and Sharon Levy, and aunt and uncle who are aunt, uncle, and cousins. Ya'amdu Yehoshua ben Velvel ben Chaim HaKohen v'Ruach Elka, Yochana bat Eleanor v'Chaim Alter ben Yehoshua v'Yochana Yehuda ben Kasi v'Bat Sheva bat Aharon li'Aliyah HaRishon. Other side. When you're ready.
Singing, yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Baruch Adonai Hamborah. Baruch Adonai Barak Le'olam Bared. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bacha banu mikol ha'amim. V'notan lanu et Torah. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Lo ta'asu lachem elilim ufesel umatzeva lo takimu lachem ve'even maskit lo titenu bartchem lehishtachavot aleha ki ani Adonai Elohechem. Et Shabbatotai tishmeru, umikdashi tira'u. Ani Adonai.
Go ahead and say the blessing after.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher nochamanu Torah emet. V'chayei olam nota b'zelchenu. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Thank you so much for blessing this boy, his reading this morning, and for all the things you've done to help him come to Torah. Please go back to your seats. Thank you so much. I apologize for those in the room or on screen that are trying to find where we are. We are in the second part of this Torah portion, the Bechukotai, and it is Leviticus 25, chapter 3 is where we began. Or no, that's about where we are right now. And it should be where it says Bechukotai, not the Bahar part.
In the Bechukotai, yes.
For the honor of the second Aliyah, we are joined remotely by Neil Perlmutter and Jody Silverman, Ari's aunt and uncle. Ya'amdu Naftali Zev ben Yechetzkalev v'Rivka Shoshana v'Yehudit Leah ben Achiel Daniel v'Basha Ansha la'Aliyah Hasheni. And whenever you
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch Adonai Hamborach Le'olam Ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol hamim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Im bechukotai telechu, vet mitzvotai tishmeru, va'asitem otam. Venatati gishmechem beitam, venatna haaretz yevula, ve'etz hasadeh yitain pirio. Vehisig lachem. Daish et batzir, uvatzir yasig et zara. Va'achaltem lachmechem lasova, v'shavtem lavetach be'artzechem.
All right, go ahead, Neil and Jody.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai, notein haTorah.
Thank you both so much for your blessings this morning and for being with us. For the honor of the third Aliyah, we call up Ari's parents, Lisa and Steve. Ya'amdu Simcha Natan ben Yechezkel Lev Rivka Shoshana v'Leah Rachel bet Vevel ben Chaim HaKohen Verucha Elka Aliyah HaShlishi.
Baruch et Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Barak Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Venatati shalom ba'aretz ushchavtem ve'ein macharid vehishbati chaya ra'a min haaretz vecherev lo tavor be'artechem urdaftem et oivechem ונפלו לפניכם לחרב, ורדפו מכם 500, ו100 מכם רבבה ירדפו, ונפלו אויביכם לפניכם לחרב.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Lisa and Steve, thank you for all you've done to bring this boy to Torah today. We're asking you to stay up while he reads his final aliyah and his call to the Torah as a bar mitzvah. Maybe you want to go on either side of him. Could be sweet and also make for a good picture. Okay. So we now call you, Ari, as a bar mitzvah for your aliyah. When you're called to the Torah as an aliyah, it's really the moment you symbolically become bar mitzvah. Ya'amod, Ya'amod, Ya'amod. Ari Yisrael ben Simcha v'Leah la'aliyah ha-bar mitzvah. Chazak, chazak v'nitchazek.
Baruch et Adonai Hamborach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Ba'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamborach Leolam Ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Ufaniti alechem vehifreti etchem. V'hirbeti etchem, v'hakimoti et beriti itchem, v'achaltem yashan noshan, v'yashan mipnei chadash totziu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yasher Koach, really, really beautifully done. Before we go on to Haftarah, we are going to lift and raise the Torah. It's my pleasure to invite up for that honor Rachel and Craig, family friends. Please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, על פי אדוני ביד משה. יאללה לי 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 יאללה לי 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 ay lai 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 ay ay lai 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 ay lai 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 ay lai 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 ay lai 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 ay lai 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 ay 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 lai lai ya la lai 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 ya la lai 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 ay lai 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 ay 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 da 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 ya da 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 ay 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 lai 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 ay 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 lai 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 lai.
Today's Haftarah reading comes from the book of Jeremiah, chapter 17. Ari will be chanting verses 12 through 14. We'll start with the blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar binvim tovim b'ratzah v'divrehem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'torah u'Moshe avdo ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. כיסא כבוד מרום מראשון מקום מקדשנו. מקווה ישראל אדוני כל עוזבך יבושו וסורי בארץ יכתבו כי עזבו מקור מים חיים את אדוני. רפאני אדוני ואין רפא, הושיעני ואבשע כי תהילתי אתה. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sur kol haolam mim sedik bechol hadorot ha'el hane'eman ha'omer ve'oseh hamedaber u'mekayem shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al haTorah ve'al ha'avodah ve'al hanevi'im ve'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh שנתת לנו, אדוני אלוהינו, אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך. יתברך שמך בפי כל חי, תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה, אדוני, מקדש השבת.
Amen.
Yasher Koach, beautifully chanted both Torah and Haftarah. For the honor of opening the Ark as we return the Torah, it is my pleasure to invite up Victoria and Richard Zitrin. Please rise.
Et chaim hi lemachazikim ba v'dom he'a me'ushar deracheha darchei
Shabbat Shalom. My Torah portion is Leviticus 26, Bechukotai. It talks about rewards for those faithful to God's. It talks about rewards for those faithful to God's commandments and punishments for those who are not faithful. I was surprised by how contradictory it was, and today I'm going to talk about that. But before I talk about it, I'm going to share what some others had to say. Rabbi Bernard J. Bamberger points out that some other cultures also used reward and punishment systems. For example, both the Sumerian code of Lipit Ishtar and the Babylonian code of Hammurabi contained a specific set of rules for people to follow, and rewards and punishments for when they did and did not follow the rules. He also points out that in the Torah, the consequences for disobeying God's commandments are punishments, but you can never be doomed by them. Instead, you are supposed to learn that you should follow God's commandments. When I look at my portion, like I said, I see a lot of contradictions. One example is, if one person does one wrong thing, everyone gets punished. But if one person does one good thing, everyone gets to prosper. I think that these two things contradict each other, because if one person can cause everyone to suffer, then even if someone ended the suffering, the bad person could still bring the suffering back. At that point, it seems like bad always wins in the end, no matter how hard the good people try, because they can always revert the world back to punishment. If bad can revert the world back to punishment, it seems like they have all the power, right? Then I thought that the good people usually win in the long term because they might influence the bad people to do good things. Even though my portion has a lot of challenging contradictions, I think that looking at them closely can teach us something. One thing my portion teaches us is that our choices have consequences, whether they are good or bad, not just for ourselves, but also for others. Whether we're polluting or beautifying, we have an impact on others. One issue in the world today where I see the importance of considering our choices and their consequences is climate change and pollution. I think that being aware of what we put into the ground and air is important because, just as in my portion, one person can have a large impact on the environment as a whole. The lifestyle you choose has an impact on the world around you, whether it's good or bad. Most of us don't really realize that we pollute, but even small things like turning on and off the lights are contributing to climate change. The Earth is not our planet, and we should all take steps to protect and improve the world for every generation of every species to come. I also think that we should make efforts to maintain or maybe even improve the natural balance and biodiversity in as many habitats as we can. As humans, we have destroyed many habitats for their resources, and I think that we should all take steps in using the resources we took to restore those habitats as best we can. In closing, reading my portion has made me realize that one person's actions can affect more people than we realize, and that we don't only affect people with our actions. In the future, I'm going to try and help people better see the effects of climate change, and I'm also going to try to help reduce the damage done by climate change.
Yasher Koach, thank you for sharing those beautiful words with us. It is now time for us to hear some blessings from your parents.
Ari, may you find happiness in all your pursuits, be resilient in the face of diversity, and do the right thing even when it's difficult. As you grow, continue to have a sense of wonder and be grateful for all that abounds. Remember Tikkun Olam, repairing the world, and find ways to help and be kind to others. And most importantly, may you always be surrounded by much love and knowledge.
Ari, as Rabbi Rodich said earlier this week, this wasn't a performance. This wasn't about showing us what you can do today. It's about stepping into a role as a full-fledged member of the community. May you always keep and value your connection to the Jewish community, to our culture, and to our history. Even before you could talk, it was clear that you held strong opinions. May you always find the strength to stand up for what you believe, but always be open to new information and differing viewpoints. You are blessed to be a sensitive, empathetic, and to have a strong sense of what is just. May you never lose your ability to feel deeply and passionately and to speak up for those in need. Ari, we know it took a lot of hard work to prepare for today, and you had to do it during a very challenging year, and we're very proud of what you've accomplished. May you always find strength and inspiration to take on new challenges when you reflect on what you've accomplished this past year.
So thanks for coming to my bar mitzvah. Whether you're on Zoom or you're here in person, I really appreciate you taking the time from your day to come. Thanks to Mom and Dad, who have been really helpful through this mess, COVID, and for tolerating me when I was so set on not having a bar mitzvah. Thanks to Ethan, he's my brother, for being comforting to me when I was really frustrated, and just for being the best brother. And finally, this service is dedicated to Yankel Duranter. He was born in Ukraine in 1937, and he died in the Auschwitz concentration camp in 1944 at the age of 7. May his memory be a blessing.
Thank you, Ari. I'm going to ask that you step up here so the cantor and I can give you our blessings. Ari, it has been such an honor to come to know you, at first only through the screen for many months until just the rehearsal the other day. But during this meshuggah time, this crazy time, I watched you take on this process that at first you weren't totally sure about, but then you owned it. And you really figured out a way that it was going to be for you. And I want to bless you with the power to always do that. It's okay to bring your suspicion to things. We need that kind of critical thinking in our world. And then once you see that something can be right, jump all the way in. Keep doing that. It's an honor to pass the Torah to you today. It's an honor to be one of your rabbis. I'm very proud of you. And it is now our honor to give you this ancient blessing.
יברכך אדוני וישמרך.
May God bless you and may God protect you.
יאר אדוני פניו אליך ויחונך.
May God's presence always be with you and may God be gracious to you.
יישא אדוני פניו אליך וישם לך שלום.
May God's countenance shine upon you. And most of all, Ari, we wish you the blessing of shalom, a life of wholeness and of peace, of love, people who love you and care for you and respect you. Together we all say,
Amen.
Amen. Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov. I believe it is time to, first we do Mourner's Kaddish. Sorry, you can go sit with your parents for 1 second. If you are remembering someone at this time who has died recently or at this season in years past, please share their name if you're in the room with us. Physically, if you're joining us remotely, please enter their name into the chat. Mourner's Kaddish can be found on page 294. It is our custom for us all to rise together in support of our mourners. Yitzgadal, Yitzgadash Shemei Rabbah, Bialma Divrach Yirote, Biamlich Malchute, v'chayachon uvyomechon uvchaye dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv imru amen. Yeheshme Rabba mevarach leolam olmei almaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yithadar v'yitalev v'yithalal, shemei dikud shabarichu, le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, da'miran v'yalma v'imru amen. Yeheshlama Rabba min Shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen.
This time, Ari, I invite you back to the bima with your whole family. Everybody can remain standing, but put your prayer books on the chair next to you, carefully. And as long as you're in your pod, find the shoulder next to yours. And if you're watching us on Zoom, and there's somebody with you watching, find that person's shoulder as well. If you are watching by yourself, please know you are not by yourself during this time of COVID. We are with you right here as we pray for peace, peace in our city, peace in our country, peace in Yerushalayim, and for all the inhabitants of the earth. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu yaseh shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'emeru Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, ve'imru amen.
Mazel Tov, and on the count of three, we're gonna have Ethan shower you with some sweetness on behalf of everyone here. 1, 2, 3.
Mazel tov! Sieben tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, sieben tov, sieben tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, sieben tov, mazel tov, mazel tov, sieben tov. Yehelanu, 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 uleko Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, uleko Yisrael. Yehelanu, yehelanu, uleko
Mazel Tov. Thank you so much for joining us in person or remotely. If you're here in the sanctuary, please return your prayer books, not the Torah books, but the prayer books back at the back door on your way out. And Oh, thank you so much. We are also going to do Kiddush and Motzi, and we are joined by grandparents Lee and Esther Perlmutter and Ronald and Bill Douglas. So we first ask Lee and Esther to lead us in the Kiddush. Be sure to unmute yourself. Oh, you unmuted and then muted yourself again, I think. Here we
Okay, how's that?
go. All right, go ahead.
All right, stand up. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam borei pri hagafen.
Amen, amen. And for Motzi, we have Ronald and Bill. Go ahead.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
Thank you all, four of you, so much. I know you're so proud and we feel your presence. Mazel tov, everyone.
Delicious.
Thank you. Thank you for being here.
Mazel tov.
Mazel tov.
Ay, ay, ay,